Hi folks, Mr. Long here. I'm going to do a quick screencast on using the cosine law to solve for angles in non-right angled triangles. So here's the question. Remember that small letters represent side lengths and big letters represent angles in a triangle. So we have here that we've got a triangle with one side is 28, another side is 23, and another side is 46. So remember what we do is I always just draw the same triangle every time because it's hard to know where things are. So I'm just going to do this. I'll go like that, and I'm going to put let's see here. Let's just make it A, just to make our lives easy. A, B, and C, and so those are the angles. They're always big letters, and remember that the sides are always opposite. So side C is opposite angle C, so side C is 46. Side B is opposite angle B, which is 23, and side A is opposite angle A, which is 28. Okay, 28. And it says we want to solve for angle C, so I'm going to circle angle C. That's what I want to figure out. So again, we work with the containing sides, right? We always relate for the cosine law the containing sides and the contained angle. So, and I call the containing sides C1 and C2. So the formula when you want to figure out an angle is you use cosine of, which I call this angle that you want to figure out, theta. Cosine of theta equals, actually let's do, sorry, I should call that the opposite. My apologies, folks. Cosine of the opposite angle equals C1 squared plus C2 squared minus the opposite side squared. So remember, this is opposite angle here, this is opposite side. I know that's a little bit weird. I should put OPS for side here, opposite side, so you remember. And that's all divided by 2 times C1 times C2. Okay, folks, so what we need to do is, now we need to substitute our numbers in. Okay, so remember, I'm trying to find out that angle C. So I have this right here. If I want to figure out angle C, I look at the containing sides. So I'm going to have 28 squared plus 23 squared minus 46 squared. And that's all going to be divided by 2 times by 28 times by 23, which are the containing sides. The next thing you have to do, folks, is go to your calculator. And the way, I'm not going to be showing this right now, but the way you have to do this is you have to do the top separately from the bottom, okay? Unless you have a fraction button on your calculator that works really well. So unless you have a fraction button where you actually, the calculation shows up like this, I want you to do the top and the bottom separately. So the top, you would just do this calculation and put the answer. So if you do 28 squared plus 23 squared minus 46 squared in your calculator, you're going to get negative 803 for the top. Then when you do the bottom, you're going to get 2 times 28 times 23. And that's going to work out to 1,288. Okay, and then after that you actually do the calculation. Once you're done that, then you do the calculation. And you should do it, well actually, you know what, you can do it this way. A better way to do it now is once you've got that done, instead of getting the decimal equivalent, just do this, put that in. So the opposite angle is going to equal the cos to the negative 1, cos inverse, like on the black calculator, you hit it twice, or whatever you do with your phone, and then you put brackets and you go negative 803 divided by 1288. Now, if you have to, you can put it into decimal form, and it's -0 decimal 6234. Okay, -0 decimal 6234. So you could do that as well. So the other option is go close to the -1 bracket, -0.6234. You can do that as well. Either one of those will give you the opposite angle. Anyway, the whole idea, the big idea, I'm going to go through that again. So you want to be able to say, okay, if I'm looking for angle C, then I go to angle C. And then I identify my containing sides, right? The two sides that contain the angle, C1 and C2. And then I identify the opposite side, right? So this is going to be the opposite side, right, to that angle. Whoops, sorry folks. And that's once you do that, then it's just substituting numbers into a formula. So cos of the opposite angle is this formula here. And then you substitute your numbers in, doing the top and the bottom separately in the calculation, right? Getting that answer. And if you want to divide it out, you can. And then you use your calculator. Because you're finding an angle, you do cos inverse. And what does that work out to? That works out to 128.6 degrees about. The opposite will equal about 128.6 degrees. And if you think about that, is that right? Well, let's see. Opposite sides are always, the biggest side is always opposite the biggest angle. So if that's 128.6, that's bigger than 90, right? So, and 46 is the biggest side. There's no other, the other angles cannot be, because the three angles add up to 180, right? Okay, so hopefully you have that. The steps are pretty clear. Hopefully I was clear enough. And then the only other thing I want to look at is when it says to solve a triangle. Okay, solve a triangle. What it means is figure out everything that's missing. Solve a triangle. So for example, if this was the question, and it gave you that this was 46, and this was 10, and this was 14, and it said solve the triangle, and say this was A, B, and C. If it said solve a triangle, what you'd have to do here, first of all, would be to, well, if you think about your cosine law, right? You have two sides in a contained angle. You can figure out the opposite side. So you're going to figure out this side. Now that you know all three sides, you're going to be able to easily figure out angles using the cosine law, right? So that's the first thing you would do, is find out the opposite side using the cosine law. And we did that in our last class, right? Where we figured out side lengths. And then the next thing you're going to do is figure out another angle using the cosine law, right? So now you have all three sides. You could use, doesn't matter what you could get, angle B or angle C, but you would do that. And then say you got angle C using the cosine law, right? Using our formula that we just went through in the screencast. You would get angle C, and maybe it would be 30 degrees. Well, if you knew this one was 30 and this was 46, then this angle here, right, is going to be 180 minus those other two angles. Okay, so solving a triangle means you figure out everything about it. Okay, folks, so good luck on your work today.